Welcome to First Down Punts, a show about the on-field and off-the-field news in the world of pro football, as well as how it relates to fantasy football all season long. Thanks for joining in, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And now, here is your host, Orcus.
And welcome in to another episode of First Down Punts. I'm your host, Orcus. Today, we're going to be going over the top 10 rules to win your fantasy football league next year. To get it started off, number one, know your league. Know the type of league you're in, whether it's standard, best ball, fantasy, redraft, dynasty, keeper. There's all types of leagues out there. You got to know what type of league you're in. Number two, know the rules to your league. How's the scoring set up? When are the waivers available? Is there waivers? Is there IR spots? Know your rosters and stuff like that. And if it's with people know the other players' tendencies. Try to remember what they did last year in the beginning of the draft. Try to remember who the players they like. So maybe you draft them this year, you can trade them that guy for something they don't want to give up. But, hey, they like that guy. These are all types of things that are going to help you win your league. And if you can follow some of these, you're going to definitely have a better chance of being competitive. Number two, prepare for the draft. You don't have to spend all off season like some people. This guy. Reading about football, knowing about who got drafted where and what round and what the stats were last year and all that other stuff. You need to prepare for the draft. Know when your draft is. A week before that, read up on some football stuff. It's not hard to prepare for the draft, guys. If you can spend 2-3 weeks before the draft, you're great. You spend 6 months like I do, sometimes you get overwhelmed and convince yourself of something you don't even want. But have an updated rankings list when you go to the draft. That matters. Don't have something that's from 2 months ago when guys weren't even on the same team or even on a team, period. You don't know if the rookie took over that they drafted on that spot. You don't know if the quarterback is talking about getting traded or getting benched. You need to know these things. And most rankings lists will be updated on a somewhat regular basis. So if you can get one a week out, 3 days out before the draft, you're going to have a good idea. But at the draft, before you draft anybody, look them up. We got a lady we know. She has GTS. Google that shit. Google that shit. I want to draft this guy. Let me Google it. Last year, our buddy drafted TJ Hockenson way too early. He knows who he is. And if he sees this video, he's going to be like, you. But he wasn't prepared for the draft last year. And that's not normal. He's got 2 championships. He's a guy that's usually coming ready. He just wasn't last year. You see it every year. There's 1 or 2 people that just didn't prepare. And it ends up costing them in the long run. Prepare for the draft. Number 3 on the list, be active and stay active. It takes 5 to 10 minutes a day reading up on your team. That's it. In all honesty, I got updates coming in all the time. I'm overwhelmed at times, and it's like I might be better off just doing 5 to 10 minutes a day. But the average American spends like 5 hours on social media a day, or on their phone, period. Maybe not social media in general, but on their phone. The least you can do is spend 5 to 10 minutes of that and look up what's going on with my fantasy team. Do I need to bench this guy? Do I need to cut this guy because he's on IR for 3 weeks? You know who you are. Because all you're doing is hurting your own chances. If you're not paying attention, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know why you're signed up for a league. You need to be able to change your lineups, make moves and trades. You should never have open spots on your roster in your starting spots. You should be using every starting spot you can to win every week. And I like to judge players on a 4-week basis. What have they done the last 4 weeks? Was it 1 great week and 3 shitty weeks? Was it 4 average weeks, but they're being steady, so keep them in there to keep doing it? And who is the player? You know what I mean? Is it a brand name, some stud? Or is it some guy you picked up off the waiver after week 3? He had 2 good weeks, and he hasn't done anything for the last 3, but you just left him in because you're not being active. You're costing yourself a chance to win. Stop doing that. Stay active. Number 4, use the tools. If you're in a league, I'm on Yahoo and Sleeper. I'm in 7 different leagues. I've been in more than that. I've been in less than that. But one thing I always do is I download the app for that league. And then I turn notifications on. If a guy drops somebody, you want to know about it. You want to put a waiver claim in. If somebody puts somebody on the trade block, you should know about it. This goes back to the active stuff, but use these tools. They're already doing it for you. They tell you who to start, when to start, who's the best chance of succeeding. This guy's out for this long, whatever. They tell you everything you need to know. All you got to do is click that little on to notifications, and you will be much more engaged, but much more involved, much more active. But the tools are what do that for you. And if you're on social media, turn on Shefty's notifications, turn on ESPN NFL, find out what's going on. I mean, that's how you stay active, and that's how you use the tools to your benefit. They're telling you who to start. They're telling you where they're ranking these guys. Are they always right? No, no one's ever going to be always right. But they're trying to give you the best chance of being successful. And if you can pay attention to those, you're going to have a better chance at winning. Thing that a lot of people do, brand names versus production. I did it last year to myself, self-sabotaged myself, ended up losing the championship because it came in second place. Starting Cooper Kupp 2 weeks instead of a guy like Marvin Mims. Cost myself points. That's just all there is to it, especially when the guy I was playing had Bo Nix starting. So I could have been balancing out those points, knowing stuff like that. You have to realize when the name player isn't producing. Like I said, I'm guilty as anybody of failing at it and trying to gauge when to make that change, when to start the bench guy over the brand name guy that I spent a high pick on. If that guy's not producing, there's a certain limit you have to go. And that's why I say the 4-week span thing. What's this guy done the last 4 weeks? Has he been good? Did he have one bad week and I'm just upset with him because I needed him that week or something? Or has this guy been sucking for 4 or 5 weeks and I just didn't realize it because I'm not paying attention? Or because I don't want to accept it because I drafted him high or I made a trade for him? You get invested in these players that you invest in, and sometimes it doesn't pan out. You have to let go, man. You have to be willing to say, I can trade this player because he's got a big name for this other guy that people aren't really talking about yet, but he's been doing really good for the last few weeks. And this guy thinks over the hill, or he's on his last leg, or he's being bypassed by the backup. These are all things that are going to happen every year in football. Knowing when to make that change, knowing when to get rid of a brand name for a no name, basically. It's a big part of it. And it goes into this next thing, trading high, buying low. Sometimes you got a mediocre guy that's on a hot streak, but he's never done anything else. If you can trade that guy, towards the end, when you think 2-3 weeks into that hot streak for a guy that's underproduced, but he's got an easy schedule coming up, or he was dealing with an ankle injury and he hasn't been producing, that other owner, fantasy team owner, is upset with him. And he's like, well, hey, maybe I can trade this hot guy for this brand name, for the superstar that's been underperforming. You got to be willing to pay a little bit. You got to be willing to stop trying to undercut people all the time. I'm guilty of it too. Don't fool yourself. I send trade offers out all the time just to get conversations started. But when it comes down to it and you're in serious talks, you're right there. Oh man, I don't know if I want to do it or not. The guy you're trading with, or girl you're trading with, person you're trading with, whatever, is a little hesitant. They like the deal, but throw something else on top of it. Hey man, let me give you this guy too, and see if that gets the job done. For one, if you can do a 2-for-1 or a 3-for-2, that opens up a roster spot on your team and allows you to pick up some guy on the waiver that you've been paying attention to. It's like, oh, now I can go grab that guy. Or I got a bye week coming up. That's no reason to make a trade, but it is a reason to say, hey, if I can get that extra spot by getting rid of this other guy that I'm not really using, then now you can fix that problem without having to cut a guy that you like. You can't force a trade, but you can always try. So be willing to. One other thing is be aggressive when news breaks. We all make mistakes. Last year, I should have tried to trade Amari Cooper. I didn't. I was excited because he was on the Bills. Finally, someone can throw him the ball. I didn't know they were going to keep throwing to Mac Hollins. Number 7, set next week's lineup early. Halftime, I set it while I'm watching games on Sunday. By the middle of the afternoon games, I'm like, all right, let me start thinking about next week. There's still Sunday night games, still a Monday night game. I'm already thinking about next week because I'm trying to think about it while I'm in the moment. So I'm not caught up on brand names versus mediocre guys. If this guy's killing, I need to know about it, and I need to be active about it. If you set your lineup next week, you're not thinking about it for a couple days. All right, now I'm ready for next week. Let me figure out how I really feel. And I do this no matter what. Even if I'm having a great week, if my team's snapping, I'm still going to go look at next week. Should I make a change here? I'm always trying to adjust to help my team out at the end of the day. And if I do that during the games, I get a more prominent feeling. Sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? I shouldn't have done that. I already know that. Other times, like, man, I should have stuck with that. Trusting my gut over rationalizing something. I can convince myself anybody should be starting if I think about it long enough. And I'm sure we're all guilty of that at times. But I like going with what my gut says more times than not, because I've had more success doing it. Sometimes, like I said, I'll rationalize myself into starting a guy on Thursday just because I'm trying to score some points, and ends up costing me, instead of just sticking with who I put in the lineup the prior weekend while I was watching football. I should have just left that guy in originally. But it allows you, when you look at next week's lineup, checks for buys. If a guy got hurt on Sunday or Sunday night, Monday, whatever, you're already preparing for that for next week. So I like to set my next week's lineup early. You should be doing the same. Number 8, very important rule: no broke legs. And what that means is no injuries, especially going into the draft. I am not drafting injured guys. I don't even care if I got an IR spot. I'm not drafting an injury guy anywhere near where ADP is. If he's injured, I'm trying to avoid him. Obviously, there's a point in the draft that you're going to go, all right, I got to take a chance on this guy. The value's here, but it's never going to be early. I can tell you that much. I was out on Christian McCaffrey last year. I ranked him past my first 2 picks just so I never even thought about it. When you're talking about Achilles injuries, strained calves, all that leg, he's a running back. If you ain't got legs, you can't run, man. Christian McCaffrey was already dealing with stuff in the preseason. He wasn't practicing. He wasn't doing anything. People still drafted him top 10. And I was like, you're out your damn mind. But you got to be willing to let go. When a guy gets hurt, I have a limit. I've had to do this for myself because of my own mistakes over the years. I've been playing this game for over 20 years. I love playing it. It's fun. But you get stuck. You draft a guy high, or you draft a guy that you like, man. I was a Donald Driver fan for years. I just thought he was a good route runner, good guy. Everything I read about him, man, he was awesome. But then you get a guy like Doug Baldwin, another one of those guys. He's not a superstar, but he's a damn good player. You like him. He's consistent. He's helping your team. Gets hurt. Did you hang on way too long? Reggie Bush, he already broke his leg. This is where the no broke legs come from. He broke his leg in like week 3, week 2, week 3 of that season. I held on to Reggie Bush for like 12 weeks because they kept telling me he was going to be back in 3-4 weeks. I believed him. Eventually, I had to start making rules for myself, and I'm just trying to help you guys do the same. There is a 4-week limit for me now. If a guy is going to be out longer than 4 weeks, he's off my team. I can't wait that long anymore. Fantasy is only 17 weeks long, 18 for some. Like, we play 18 weeks, but that's a whole different story, like I said. But at the end of the day, if somebody's going to be out longer than a quarter of the season, you should be willing to let them go. Try to trade them first. Maybe somebody's willing to hold on to them. If you got an IR spot and it's 4 weeks, that's fine. But if you don't have IR spots, there's no reason a guy should be on your team that's out longer than 4 weeks. I don't care what his name is. Especially no small leagues where you can just go get another starting quarterback, a starting running back, because he ain't got big enough rosters. Expand your leagues. Like I said, 4-week limit. Be willing to let a guy go. Doesn't matter where you drafted him. If this guy's going to be out forever. Had a buddy last year, held on to Pacheco all season. Ended up paying off, not for him season long, but for the last few weeks when Pacheco was somewhat active, he got some points from him, and he needed it because he had injuries at running back, and some of the other guys weren't performing. He just needed a starter, but he wasn't competing for a championship. I mean, it happens every year where guys hang on to people too long. I'm guilty of it more than most, I assure you. This has been a long living lesson that I have to convince myself sometimes. Like I said, I can convince myself to start a guy. I got to convince myself to drop a guy. You have these connections because of the level of investment you have in him. If I draft a guy in the 12th round, he gets hurt, I'm cutting him. Draft a guy in the 3rd round, he gets hurt. It's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So it's just being disciplined about it. That's the thing. Like I said, that's why I had to set a limit. 4 weeks. If you're out longer than 4 weeks, you're off the team, buddy. No broke legs. Number 9, what everybody should be doing, have some fun with your league. It's just a game at the end of the day. It is a competition. This is my competition away from playing sports when I was younger and stuff. I'm older now. I don't get out there on the court. I don't get on the field or nothing. But this is a competitive type of atmosphere when you're trying to win. If you're trying to win, you should be competitive. And I want your league to be competitive. If everybody is active, everybody's trading, everybody's making moves, it's going to be a more competitive league, and that makes it more fun to me. Talk trash, especially if you know the guys. I'm sure you're already doing that. Talk a little trash to them. Have some class by. Obviously, there's limits. There's lines you don't cross. But have some class. Congratulate when somebody beats you. Good game this week, man. Good matchup. You took me down. Or talk trash. I can't wait till the next time we play. I'm gonna kick your ass. And have integrity for the league. Don't go on a rant and drop everybody. Trust me, I think we've all wanted to do that off this league. I'm dropping everyone. I was in the middle of a midnight massacre because a trade went down, and I was so upset about it because I felt like it was an unfair trade. You grow from it, you learn from it, hopefully, and you keep fighting. Don't just give up. That's the biggest thing I hate, when people just give up, stop fighting, stop competing, stop trying. Yeah, all right, maybe you're out of it, but the rest of the league is still playing. So do it for them, if not for yourself. To me, it's, hey, man, you should be fighting to the end always. That's how I'm always going to be. I don't care if I'm in 9th, 10th place. I don't care if I'm in first place. I'm always going to be trying to win at least that week, at least do better than what my team has been doing. That's just the way I'm built. It's the way how I'll always act towards competition. So, and the number 10 rule, which is number 1 in my world, is don't be dumb. And don't be dumb is as simple as it sounds, man. Follow these rules. Don't be dumb. Nothing's that serious in fantasy football. Don't be dumb. All right. It's just a game, like I said. Don't ruin the league. Don't be dumb. These are all things that apply under this rule. And this applies to life as well. Share it with everyone you know. Hey, don't be dumb. We got a lot of people making foolish decisions out here in fantasy and in the real world. Maybe if we stop being so foolish, we'd be better off in fantasy and in real life. But number 10 rule, don't be dumb. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Till next time, hope you have a good afternoon, good evening, good morning. I'm out.